Melissa. Hi, Valdora. It's so fun talking with people. Some of them I've met, like Melissa. Valdora, I've only had a chance to write back and forth to, and we send each other. I've got some of her beautiful feathers that she's painted of the Dragon Lord Zana. And I actually took one across country with me, taking pictures at all the different places that I went. So that was really cool. And I'm afraid I didn't want to take the others because I was afraid I was going to mess them up. And yes, she says, I love how you have humor, sadness. Yes, I cried. I love adventures, bravery, and sexy in your books. Oh, yes, people have done the same with the art as they do in my book. Some people are afraid of creativity. Don't ever stop your stories, please. I'm glad she said that because when I was writing, was it Jacqueline? I think it was Jacqueline. I was writing his story, and that's when the issue came up where somebody accused me of doing something illegal, and that devastated me. For about, I would say about 2.5 weeks, I couldn't write. I was like in the pits. It was not a good place to be, and so it was. It took me a while. As a good friend of mine in England likes to tell me, she says, "Get my head out of my peep and pull my big girl panties out." And so it took me a little bit of while to do that, but I did. And so I don't plan on giving up. And she said something that I thought was really cool, is about the sexiness. My books, I don't write the sexy parts just to have them in there. They have to be in love. It has to make sense. I don't put the sex in it just to have sex. I do write the sex scenes as if as if it's happening. I don't want to gross anyone out, so I'm not going to say as if I'm doing it, because it's like, okay. But I do it based on what the characters are showing me. And so if it's not the time for it, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to put it in just to have it in there. If I'm going to put it in there, it's going to be like it's happening. And some are a little bit sexier than others because of that. But a lot is their personality, too. So for me, if you've got 50 bad guys shooting at you, now's not the time to get naked, because I don't want to have my bare butt up in there getting shot at. I'm going to wait till I don't have 50 guys knocking on the door wanting to, come in and string me up or whatever. So this is one of the things that, I have that balance. I like to think of it as balance in the story. If it goes with the story, then it goes with it. If it's not time, it's not time. Some are going to be sexier than the others. Some series are going to be sexier than others. It just happens to be the way the characters tell me. It has to have a story. I like having a story. Some of my stories are more external, where there's a lot of action on the outside. Some are internal. I think that shows the difference between a writer. I don't want to write stories that are the same, where you could read this book and this book and this book and just change the names and the places, and you've read it. I think we've all done that before. And after you do that a few times, then you get bored with them. And for me, I don't want to get bored with my stories. If I start I made a promise to myself when I first started writing that if it wasn't fun anymore, I wouldn't do it anymore. And there's been a couple of times where it's come close to that, and then I'm like, no, I'm not going to let it get to that point. So when I write the stories, if I take time out to write this novella, like The Beast Prince, or a Dragling story, or Voyage of the Defiance, when I take time out to write those stories, it feeds my soul, and it gives me what I need to keep writing. And I think that it would be a travesty for me to say, I don't want to do this anymore. But it was one of those things, before I pushed that enter button, I made that promise to myself, and it's the one promise I realized that I'm going to have to keep, is I want to keep this fun, I want to keep it exciting, and I want to keep it true to who I am. And if it's not that, I don't want to do it anymore. And like I said, I'm pretty much an all or nothing girl. So